I recently acquired a high-rise condo right across from the train station. Speaking of unexpected subjects, why did he suddenly bring this up? He did purchase it, and it really is remarkable. The view from the condo is breathtaking, and the rooms are pristine. However, I'm feeling a bit confused. It's quite a shock to find out that he secretly acquired this upscale condo while I was visiting my parents. Can you believe it? How did he even afford such a lavish purchase? In the midst of my surprise, he casually mentioned that the down payment came from selling our old home. He went on to say he would be moving in with his parents, leaving me with no place to stay. He chose to live with them without consulting me and abruptly told me to leave. I was so taken aback that I couldn't even respond. I'm Carol, a 31-year-old homemaker who is currently 8 months pregnant. Every day, I get more excited about meeting my baby. My husband, Terry, is 33 and works at a well-known company. We've been married for 4 years, and after facing some challenges with conception, I was thrilled to finally be expecting. However, I can't shake my nerves about experiencing childbirth for the first time. To find some calm amid this stressful period, I often spend time at my in-laws' home. During one of these visits, Terry's sister-in-law, Madison, asked me, "Carol, you're about to become a mom soon, right? What do you think it will be like?" Honestly, it still hasn't sunk in for me. Madison, who is married to Terry's brother, is one of the main reasons I enjoy visiting my in-laws. While I don't have much interaction with my brother-in-law, I've formed a close bond with Madison. She's also a homemaker and lives with my in-laws, which has been particularly important since my mother-in-law's mobility has declined over the past 2 years. The family didn't want to leave her alone, so Madison, being married to the eldest son, took on the responsibility of caring for her during the day. Although my mother-in-law primarily uses a cane, she manages quite well on her own. Madison, who has a background in caregiving, jumped in to help when she found out about my mother-in-law's mobility issues. I was truly impressed by how decisively Madison handled everything. Madison and my brother-in-law have a 4-year-old daughter, and her experience as a mother has been a source of comfort for me, easing my anxieties about pregnancy and childbirth. As the weeks flew by, the arrival of my baby became imminent. With just a month left until my due date, I decided it was time to go to my parents' house to prepare for the birth. Despite the weight of my belly, I relished shopping for baby supplies and imagining our future together. Spending an extended time at my parents' home was a refreshing change after such a long while. However, 3 days past my due date, I began feeling contractions. I tried to reach my husband, but he was unreachable, not answering calls or texts. At first, I worried that he might be busy at work or facing some trouble, but as the labor pains intensified, I had no time to think about his whereabouts. All that occupied my mind was the impending birth of our child. Eventually, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Holding her for the first time filled me with a joy that eclipsed everything else. My husband, who had promised to be there, missed the birth. After the exhausting delivery, I didn't have the strength to confront him right away, so I sent him a text to inform him of our daughter's arrival and then fell asleep. When I woke up, I heard someone calling my name. "Are you still asleep? Hey, Terry, is it morning already?" My husband cheerfully greeted me as I opened my eyes to see him and his parents standing there, despite my earlier request for privacy after the delivery. And there they were. "Why didn't you come here yesterday?" I asked, my irritation evident. He didn't answer my question directly, which was frustrating. "It couldn't be helped," he replied nonchalantly, as if his absence and the sudden appearance of his parents were trivial matters. The circumstances were far from ideal, leaving me torn between joy over my daughter's arrival and disappointment in my husband's choices when I needed him the most. Terry chose to have sushi with his parents, citing it as a prior obligation. Even after their meal, he didn't come to the hospital because he had been drinking and thought he would be more of a hindrance than a help in his condition. It was disheartening to realize he was out having fun while I was in labor. When he finally visited, unaware of my annoyance, he casually asked, "Where's our baby?" I told him she was in the nursery, a healthy little girl. Hearing this, my mother-in-law grimaced and muttered, "What a girl, such a useless wife," shocking me with her harsh words. My father-in-law also expressed disappointment, calling both Madison and me pathetic. It was painful to receive criticism instead of gratitude for enduring childbirth. Even Terry wasn't pleased. "Oh, damn it. I knew it was a girl, but hoped a little for a boy," he said, echoing his parents' sentiments about wanting a grandson. Especially since their first grandchild was also a girl. Their disappointment was palpable. Yet to me, the gender of our child didn't matter. She was precious no matter what. In the midst of this chaos, Terry sided with his parents, deepening my disillusionment. Even though I was boiling with rage, the emotional and physical toll of giving birth left me too drained to confront them any further. Fortunately, a nurse who overheard our exchange stepped in and asked them to leave, granting me some much-needed tranquility. Since that incident, Terry has not come to visit us in the hospital. On the day we were discharged, I reached out to my parents to pick us up and bring us to their home. I was reluctant to return to an atmosphere filled with tension and started to reflect on how much Terry had changed. He used to be so attentive when we first tied the knot. I suspected that his shift in demeanor stemmed from a major error he made at work 2 years ago, which resulted in a significant financial loss for his company. Although his co-workers managed to cushion the blow and shield him from the immediate fallout, the incident drastically altered the course of his career. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't reclaim his former position. This setback likely contributed to his emotional distance and recent coldness, even at home. To make matters worse, one of his former subordinates had climbed the ranks and now outranked him, a colleague who had once been less competent. This change in hierarchy might be affecting his attitude at home, making him more withdrawn and less understanding than he used to be. As I reflected on his past missteps at work, I realized that Terry was having a tough time coping. The stress appeared to amplify his irritability over trivial matters. Despite my growing dissatisfaction with his behavior, I held on to the hope that the arrival of our child might inspire a change in him. Yet, it seemed he hadn't made any effort to improve, leaving me increasingly anxious about our family's future. Amid my concerns, Terry unexpectedly called. "Hey, when are you coming back? It's been almost a month since you've been at your parents' since the baby arrived." I wasn't ready to go back, but I responded, "I'll be home soon. It's time to start fresh and get organized for our daughter." I mentioned that I had a lot of baby supplies to bring back and asked if he could assist with the transport. His answer left me in disbelief. "No need to bring all that back. Actually, I have something else to discuss with you. I probably should have told you this over the phone instead of asking you to come back." Confused, I urged him to elaborate, and he dropped a bombshell. "I purchased a high-rise condo right across from the train station." I was taken aback. "What do you mean? Why are you mentioning this all of a sudden?" He went on to describe the condo's amazing view and how pristine it was. I struggled to keep up as he revealed that he had moved out of our apartment and into this luxury condo while I was away. "Where did you find the money for this? You shouldn't be able to secure a loan on your salary." While I panicked, he casually replied, "I put down a payment from selling our house." I was in shock, hardly absorbing the information as he shared these details, compounding my confusion. "What do you mean you sold our house? Where are your parents staying now?" His excitement was palpable as he quickly responded, "Mom and Dad are living with me in the condo now. I'll be staying with them in this wonderful place, so I don't need a leech like you around." I was flabbergasted by his declaration that he had chosen to live with his parents without consulting me and was now effectively kicking me out. At a loss for words, I could only listen as he began referring to his parents in an almost childish manner, announcing their new living arrangement in the condo. To make matters worse, he insulted me, saying, "You're arrogant for just being a housewife. You're worthless without my income. Plus, you've just been a lazy bum lately." His words struck deeply, revealing a harshness and contempt that made me question not only his affection for me, but also the future of our relationship. His sudden and drastic changes in behavior, along with decisions made about our lives without my input, were not only shocking but also painfully hurtful. During my pregnancy, while I battled severe morning sickness and prepared for the arrival of our child, my husband showed no empathy whatsoever. After our baby was born, he callously remarked that I was useless since the baby wasn't a boy. He even mentioned that his parents believed it would be better for him to find a younger woman capable of giving him a son instead of staying with me. Furthermore, he told me his parents no longer wanted to live with my brother and his wife, hinting at considerable family tension. He stated that he had placed my belongings in a storage unit and instructed me to collect them soon. The conversation turned even colder when he bluntly said that he had sent me divorce papers and expected me to file them immediately. Then, without waiting for any response, he hung up. I was left in disbelief, struggling to comprehend how I had ended up married to such a cruel individual. Although I regretted my choices, I knew I had to gather myself for the sake of our daughter. After taking some time to reflect, I decided to cut ties with him and start anew. I resolved not to let him control my life any longer. Divorce? Bring it on, I thought, determined to show him that he would regret this decision more than I would. When I explained the situation to my parents, They were furious and immediately supported my decision to take legal action. As soon as I received the divorce papers, I signed them and filed them. 2 weeks later, my husband unexpectedly appeared at my parents' house, furious about a significant withdrawal from his bank account. He slammed his bank statement on the table and demanded an explanation. Remaining calm, I replied, "Haven't you heard of property division? That's what this is. The bank account is in my name, and I won't give you a cent." Surprised by my assertiveness, he retorted, "You couldn't have earned that much. Remember, your salary decreased because of your mistake at work, and you think you can claim this money?" I stood firm. "I've been telecommuting and have managed to match your salary. Now it's time to split our assets, especially since you were the one who initiated the divorce." His reaction was one of shock. "You can't be serious," he exclaimed in disbelief. That's when my father, who had been quiet until now, intervened. "If you want to contest this, we can take it to court. How dare you treat my daughter this way?" The situation had escalated beyond personal issues. It had turned into a matter of legal and financial rights. I was prepared to fight for what was justly mine and to secure a stable future for my daughter and me. I regretted that my daughter had to witness this upheaval because of Terry. One day, when he attempted to confront us again, my father, a police officer, gave him a stern glare that made him retreat quickly from our home. That was the moment I finally cut all ties with Terry for good, and we also finalized the asset division. Since that time, I've been living with my parents and concentrating on raising my daughter. Parenthood has become more familiar to me, and my daughter's delightful personality fills my days with joy. Life has been rewarding, infused with the happiness only a child can bring. A few months into this new chapter, I began receiving relentless calls from an unfamiliar number. Initially, I ignored them, assuming they were work-related, but the caller persisted. Eventually, I answered, only to discover it was Terry. "Hey, Carol," he said hesitantly. "What do you want? How have you been?" I wasn't interested in pleasantries. "Could you come back? I'm struggling to pay my mortgage on the condo, and I might be evicted soon," he admitted. "Oh, so you're in a financial bind?" I replied, lacking any sympathy. "Yes, I've depleted all my savings. Dad hurt his back and had to stop working, and Mom has been spending excessively, flaunting our life in the condo to her friends," he explained, his tone dripping with desperation. I wasn't surprised. Terry had never been good with money, and without his father's income and with his mother's lavish spending, it was evident he couldn't afford the condo on his own. "My bank account is empty, and I've been told I have to leave if I can't pay by next week. Please come back, Carol, we once loved each other," he implored. After a short laugh, I responded coolly, "Spare me the drama. You just want to use me when it suits you. You expect me to return, not just for love, but to contribute my salary and manage all the household chores, right?" There was a silence. "And let's not forget when you called me a parasite. Would I not just be a burden now?" He attempted to backtrack. "I just picked the wrong words at that time." I pressed on. "What about Madison and your brother? Are they still living with your parents?" He sighed. "They've moved out and are living independently now. They had a huge fight with our parents. My brother wanted Dad to be more prudent, but that only escalated the situation." Terry's predicament seemed grim, yet it was a result of his own decisions, a complicated mix of financial mismanagement and family issues. He was clearly seeking an easy escape by trying to draw me back into his life. However, I had moved on, focusing on a healthier future for myself and my daughter, free from the chaos and manipulation of my past with Terry. Then, my brother-in-law, usually so calm, finally reached his breaking point. I heard he stormed out after telling his parents he would sever ties with them if they continued to disrespect his wife, Madison. It's reassuring to see him standing up for her. He seems like a decent person. As for Terry, his plea for me to return was met with disbelief. "Return to you? Are you out of your mind? I'm already overwhelmed managing our daughter. I don't have the energy to deal with someone like you." I couldn't help but comment on how odd it was for him to still refer to his parents as Daddy and Mommy. It's simply not appropriate for someone his age. He attempted to pivot, suggesting I bring our daughter over to stay with them. "Weren't you planning to live with her when you first asked me to come back?" I challenged. He fumbled, clearly having forgotten his own lies. "I would never let my daughter stay with such a reprehensible father. Don't ever contact me again. And if you show up, I'll have my dad arrest you," I warned him. His response was a feeble sound, perhaps recalling my father's intimidating presence, but I hung up and blocked his number. Shortly after, he tried to reach me using a new number. prompting me to change mine entirely to cut him off for good. Later, I reconnected with Madison, who reached out to apologize for her absence. She explained that they had relocated to the countryside and struggled with setting up their internet connection. Madison and her family now resided in a peaceful rural area, and she invited me over. When I visited for the first time, I was enchanted by the tranquil surroundings, an ideal environment for a child to grow up. During my visit, my brother-in-law revealed that Terry and his parents were ultimately evicted from their condo due to unpaid debts and were now facing financial hardship, a stark contrast to their previous lifestyle. It felt like a fitting form of justice. Meanwhile, I've been working from home and living comfortably with my parents. The flexibility of my job allows me to work from anywhere, so I spent a few relaxing days at Madison's home. I considered the possibility of relocating closer to Madison in the future, optimistic about what lies ahead for my daughter and me. Reflecting on the whole situation, purchasing a high-rise condo impulsively while your wife is pregnant seems ludicrous unless you're exceedingly wealthy. It's strange to take such a gamble on a regular income. In any case, I'm relieved Madison is free from such an unsavory husband. I hope to continue enjoying my peaceful life, potentially moving near Madison and her family, where everyone gets along well, creating a happy environment for my daughter. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next video, and stay amazed.